See, now look who's arrived. You'd only have to say it's Dusty Springfield. Welcome.
What? Good morning.
Are you all right?
Good morning, Henry.
Good morning, my love. Are you well?
I am. I'm in a coma. I'm half asleep. How do you do this every morning?
Oh, it just happens. Even mornings you aren't doing it, you still wake up at the same time. Dusty, it's really just to say good morning to you now and let you settle down and maybe get a cup of a well-known breakfast cereal or something like that. Just tell me one thing. Where have you been for so long?
I'll answer that afterwards. There's not enough time.
Are you glad to be back and in the sort of glamour again?
Extremely.
Good.
Even at this Saturday morning.
And managing to put up with the likes of P. Stringfellow, etc.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll tell you more about that later,
too.
Good.
These are excellent. These are all teases. And we're going to have more time to chat with Dusty Springfield later in the morning. Now, welcome back. Good morning if you've just got up, and I can tell you that it's 10 minutes to 8, and it's August the 12th, and you're watching Good Morning Britain from TV-am with myself and Anne and Dusty Springfield. Now,
you can't get comfortable at all.
Well, relax.
All right.
Take a couple of seconds and squiggle your bottom into the couch and everything. Get rid of the cushion. That's it. Excellent. Now you're much happier. Now I was
throw that one as well. You don't like that one either.
Now, we'd hardly got the length of saying hello to you there a couple of minutes ago when we had to go off and do Popeye and things like that. But you were saying that you're glad, as it were, to be back and to be doing it again. What does it mean to you now to be back this time?
I think it's a tremendous challenge, which is one of the reasons I stopped singing, is because I had lost that stimulation and that sense of challenge. And it took me an inordinate length of time to discover that I'm a singer and I'm meant to sing, so I might as well just get up off my you-know-what and get back to business.
Yeah. Now, the last time that we heard of you, it was really as you were partying, and you seemed to go with the 60s, didn't you? The 60s went like snow off a ditch.
Smoke and hairspray. She disappeared.
And where did you disappear to, Dusty?
To the plastic world of California.
Did you like it?
Initially, yes. In fact, I do quite like it. But for reasons that have got nothing to do with show business. I mean, living in Los Angeles, of course, is not living in California, much as New York is not living in the rest of the states either. Los Angeles I chose to go to because I was being managed there at that time.
Yeah.
And it seemed like a good idea at the time, and it was for a long time, but you get pretty lost out there.
And did any one thing happen, or was it a combination of the passage of history and just your own sort of irritation, your own itchiness, to cause you to come back, or to try and make a comeback?
It was actually something I didn't solicit at all, and I'm definitely not into... Yeah, anyway, it was more than coincidence. I was moving flats, and the phone rang. It was the last day. You know when you go to check up, you see if you've emptied all the drawers and all that?
Yeah.
And the phone rang, and it was out of nowhere, Anne Murray's manager, who said, could I come here and do a TV special with Anne, which was done from the Albert Hall, but it hasn't been shown here yet. And then quite suddenly, in the new flat, and I don't know how people were finding me, the calls started coming in. And I hadn't made any calls, so it was quite extraordinary. And it seemed to me a definite sign that I should be doing something.
When you came back and you made the first sort of re-entry into the pop atmosphere, what was the most noticeable change?
This time around?
Yeah, compared to the 60s.
Because somebody said I made a career of comebacks. I would hardly call that quite true, but that's the word that we use. What's the most noticeable thing? That there's far more competition now, that the music is better than it's ever been.
Hey?
Oh, yes.
Now, a lot of 60s fans might not agree with you.
If Nick Owen, who, by the way, I just have to mention to you, is completely and totally in love with you and knows everything about you.
Yes, lovely.
He'll be in bits that he's not here.
I'm doing fine with you.
But I mean, Anne was, as Anne is saying, a lot of us 60s folk would say.
60s nuts, yeah. So
that's
not
so.
True.
Technically, perhaps I should say.
I see.
I mean...
There was something different about the 60s, though. It's not... There was something idyllic
but a lot
about
of it doesn't stand up now. And when you listen to the charts now, it's very hard. The musical world has shrunk to such an extent that I look at Soul Train over here and I can't make out whether the record has been made here or in the United States. And the fusion of music, I find it so much more exciting. And I suppose for me on a personal level, it might have nothing to do with the public, but everything that I ever fought for in the 60s is now happening in the 80s.
How extraordinary. What
That is nice.
It's both generous and provocative, I think, of you to say that. I bet we'll get some calls about that.
And your record here, Sometimes Like Butterflies, is actually released today. Yes?
Is it?
I think so. I think I'm right there. I think this is the day.
Monday.
Yes, this is Monday.
Yes.
The shops won't be open yet, but it is released today. And we're going to be hearing it a bit later on in the morning, about half an hour.